Welcome back to Step 7 Sports, and back with the contained Kunas, and we have finally actually got an MLB schedule that is going to be set. So, with all the concerns hearing that we were potentially not getting a baseball season, there was finally set a 60-game season that was kind of pushed forward through the fact at the beginning of the coronavirus, the Players Association and the Players Union and the owners had set an agreement to where, at the very least, if there wasn't going to be any agreement off of, basically Ron Manfred could have put through a set season to where it's like both sides would have to agree to it. And so we're going to have a 60-game season that's going to start either July 23rd or July 24th. So, as of right now, I am in the outskirts of Austin, Texas, trying to enjoy a little short vacation off of this. And unlike the home state of Louisiana, there is more of a set requirement on pretty much wherever you go of like masks have to be worn everywhere because of all the coronavirus stuff. There's less restrictions in Louisiana than it is right here, but I know a lot of it's going to end up basing off of whatever the state rules are going to be. And that does actually kind of apply here. So, to basically start, Rob Manfred set up a 60-game league that training camp is going to end up starting July 1st, so just next week. And you're basically have a little bit more of a 3-week process where everyone's going to have to get ready, have a little training camp, a second training camp to get everyone ready for the season, where there's going to be a bit of changes to where a lot of, like, we kind of knew a bunch of changes were going to end up happening that was going to be based off of just this season, for the fact of, like, let's get out of the way the easiest stuff to go through. So, yeah, 60-game season, universal DH, where both AL and NL are going to be having a DH instead of a pitcher pitching. So, instead of a pitcher hitting. So, it's going to be set up to where there's going to be regional matchups instead of having the long distance travel of East teams against West teams. How it's going to be set, and this could be based on change very roughly, but for the most part, this is going to be how it's going to be. You're going to have 40 games that are going to be going against all the division opponents, where Yankees are going to play every single team in their division 10 times, and they're going to be playing a combined 20 games versus the NL East teams, Braves, Phillies, Nationals, Marlins, Mets, and so on and so forth with every other team. East teams will be playing AL East teams will be playing AL East teams 40 times, and the other 20 games will be against NL East teams. So, yeah, outside of that, you're going to have a full 60-man roster set up for each of those teams, but only 30 of them is going to be active at the start of the season. So just in case you have anybody that gets COVID or anything along those lines, you're going to have a full roster outside that's going to be set up to replace them as necessary. Now as of this point, we have a combined 40 players and staff members that have been tested positive for COVID. So as of this point, they're not going to be available off of this, and they put another rule on this fact to where anybody who does contract COVID, as this whole thing is not over, they have to go on a minimum of a 10-day basically DL or injured list, where it's like they can't play for the next 10 games. So there's just going to have whoever they have left on that 60-man roster. It's like that's who you're going to have replacing him. Now, as most states are set up to where everyone is in phase 2 at this point, they have it to where a bunch of the transactions, all the trades, all the free agent signings, and all of those that have been frozen for the past few months, really since COVID has come down, that is going to be, you can do trading, you can do signing of free agents, all of that, as of this Friday. So really things are going to end up starting to get back to normal at this point. And instead of having the trade deadline normally being on July 31st, that would end up making it, if it ended up staying that way, you have been having the trade deadline at the end of the first month being played. Well, actually, at this point, it would be a week into being played. You're going to have another month in with August 31st as the trade deadline. So all of this information and any more, I'm going to end up putting a website down below in the description to where y'all can end up reading, going into further details off of that. But also, it's like they're doing one thing that really wasn't included with all of the Players Association and owners' discussions. That is a bit more surprising for the fact that you didn't hear any of this on either side. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how the players are reacting on it, for the fact that they're basically being forced to agree to something. But it is something they had agreed to back in March. So trying to back out into that sort of a deal, it's going to cause controversy if that ends up happening. So, but just to kind of set aside some of the concerns for the players, the league has set up extra precautions and extra health protocols to where they had a 67-page pamphlet that was set up for all the teams back in June that the owners set up for all the Players Association, all of that. The owners made adjustments to make that a 107-page. I'm not going to go into any of the detail, and if I have any changes, if I figure out any changes off of that is outside, that is one that's important and some explicit detail on it, I will put that more in the description later on, or I'll make a separate video on it. But the last thing on it is because every state has different, basically abiding rules for how they're going through COVID and all of that. So most of them are at least in phase 2. Some may be in phase 3 or heading close to that very shortly. And then you'll have some still in phase 1, but a lot of it is going to be a lot of the fan involvement, which we were kind of expecting that no fans were going to be able to be allowed into any of the games, and that was going to be the big issue on getting any monetary value off of it for any of the teams. But there's potential to where you could get, at least later on in this season, even as much as a 50% capacity stadium, which at this point seems a little far-fetched, but especially considering that a lot of the professionals have said that, okay, we've only gone through the first run of COVID, there's going to be another set going through on it, but that's all hearsay at this point. There's nothing that is concrete details to determine exactly what is going on. We are still trying to figure this out as we get any more information. But at this point, all the fans that could get into the stadiums is going to be based off of whatever state and local government end up agreeing on being able to bring forward. And this will likely be something that is going to go kind of hand in hand as things are go through the NBA season, and you're going to have through the college football potentially and NFL season, because that is going to go towards the end of those seasons. The end of the baseball season is going to end up coinciding with the regular NFL season, the regular college football season, because as of this point, those schedules have not changed, except likely the Hall of Fame game, which at this point is canceled. But if any changes go on that, I will let y'all know. I'll make another video on it. But last little point, if anybody has kind of dealt with this, I know being in Austin right now, anybody having to deal with that tornado that's gone on in Louisiana, I hope you're staying safe. But thank y'all for watching. Please like, subscribe, please share it out to other people who might be interested on hearing more off of it. I'll go more into detail if more information comes in. But at this point, enjoy whatever Premier League soccer that's going on right now. Y'all stay safe. I'm the Kane Tunas. This is Stat7 Sports. See y'all next time, and I'll have a little more fun in Austin.